Celtic fans, come in close because there is plenty happening just now, and the pace of the week is slowing down at all. As we edge nearer to that midweek night at Celtic Park, the whole city of Glasgow has been carrying this strange mix of nerves, warmth, and that quiet buzz that comes only when folk feel something important is about to unfold. The match against Dundee is shaping up to be far more than just another fixture on the calendar, and everyone has already caught on to that. The atmosphere around the club feels different, a wee bit heavy at times, but also full of that spark that shows up when the team starts to pull itself together again. We are on a run of victories. The momentum is building properly, and the supporters can feel that things are shifting faster than anyone expected. And of course, the name on every tongue is Martin O'Neill. And even though he keeps trying to push the attention away from himself, insisting the spotlight belongs on the players and the performance, it is impossible to pretend that tomorrow doesn't carry a massive emotional weight. Since returning in that temporary role, O'Neill worked a kind of magic few thought possible. He brought unity back to a squad that had clearly been rattled and pushed them toward winning ways again. The most impressive part is how quickly he did it, stepping in as a stopgap figure meant only to steady things, but instead reigniting something deep inside the club and the supporters. And in his recent interviews, he has stayed calm, often with that dry sense of humor folk know him for, making it clear that the contract situation behind the scenes is what's been holding up the announcement of the next manager. Still, he confirmed once again that Dundee will be his final match in charge. And it is fascinating to see how, even as he says he is ready to step aside and let the next man take over, he somehow created this moment where the entire fan base feels they should turn up, not only to support the team, but to thank the man who shaped generations of Celtic supporters. Even on a cold December night, even with it being a midweek match, there is something in the air that will pull a lot of people toward Celtic Park. What's been happening on the pitch is reflected in the players' voices as well. Callum McGregor, who has long been one of the anchors of stability in the squad, explained that their routine hardly changes. Even when the club is caught up in noise from the outside, they play, they recover, they get in a wee bit of training, and they go again. Yet you can sense that there is more lightness in the group now, a sense of continuity that had gone missing for a few weeks. The captain even praised how the younger lads have been growing, especially Ari Engels, who has taken massive strides since O'Neill stepped back in. Engels arrived with a fee that stirred up a lot of chatter, but now he seems to be finding his rhythm at last. And what McGregor said about him wasn't just polite, it was genuinely warm, a kind of comment that shows real respect for the way the young midfielder applies himself. When the captain says someone has the right mentality, that means something, because he doesn't waste words, and it is hard not to notice the difference in Engels' expression lately, the confidence in the way he carries himself, the shift in his tone after matches. That crucial goal against Hibernian seems to have opened something up inside him, and if he keeps going like this, he might become an enormous figure once the new coaching team takes charge. Luke McCowan shared his view on these unusual days as well, with community events and the usual off-pitch commitments filling the schedule. He told a brilliant story about how O'Neill quickly showed them his real personality. After that first match under him, when the squad were doing the usual lap around the pitch, the manager turned and asked, as casually as you like, whether they had won a trophy. That mix of bluntness and humor seems to have landed perfectly in the dressing room. Players raised in a completely different era, used to more modern approaches, ended up buying into his straightforward style far easier than folk expected. And maybe that is the most striking thing about this short, intense chapter. The fact that a manager with more traditional methods, someone from a different era of football, still managed to capture the attention and respect of players shaped by a more technical, heavily analyzed modern game. O'Neill hasn't changed who he is, yet he managed to pull the squad together and motivate them in a way that feels natural to him. That is why many supporters already feel that even if this stint is brief, it added a fresh chapter to his story with the club. His legacy was already enormous, but this week seems to have carved out another layer of admiration. And while we talk about all this, you can't ignore the way supporters are feeling the need to be there, to fill the stands, to raise the noise to a proper roar, and turn the Dundee match into a night of collective gratitude. It might not be a sellout. It might not have the flavor of one of those massive championship nights, but it will be special in its own way. The fans know it. The idea of seeing O'Neill walk across the pitch for the last time before the club turns the page has created that emotional pull only football can produce. And as we move into the deeper side of things, looking beyond the emotion and straight onto the pitch, you can feel that tomorrow carries a weight that's more than just sentimental. There's the farewell moment for O'Neill, there's the sense of gratitude in the air, but there's also the very real need to keep this winning run alive. Dundee aren't daft, and anyone who follows Scottish Fitbar knows they've got that knack for showing up on awkward nights, making themselves a right nuisance and turning a supposedly straightforward match into a scrap. That's the thing about them. They're stubborn, organized, and more than happy to drag you into the mud if you let them, and that, in its own way, makes tomorrow even more fascinating. Inside the Celtic camp, you can tell the players have slipped into that mindset of taking things one game at a time, almost like they're managing their own emotions by keeping everything in tidy wee boxes. They're no pretending the atmosphere is normal. Everyone knows it's not, but they're dealing with it by sticking to routines, keeping the chat simple, and focusing on the performance rather than the occasion. At the same time, though, there's a quiet determination to give O'Neill a send-off on the park that matches the respect they've shown him off it. It's no about making a spectacle. It's about doing the job right, with effort, with honesty, with that bit of heart that Celtic teams are always expected to show. And that's where things get interesting, because if you look at the way this squad has shifted its body language over the past couple of weeks, it's subtle, but it's definitely there. You see it in the way McGregor talks, in the way the younger lads carry themselves, in the way the press conferences feel just that wee bit lighter. McGregor has been careful with his words, as always, but even he can't hide the fact that the group feels more settled, more aligned, like the uncertainty that was hanging over the place has started to clear. His comments about Ari Engels especially felt telling. When Callum calls a player proper, you know he means it. He doesn't throw compliments around like confetti. If anything, he's maybe too reserved at times. So hearing him openly praise Engels' mentality says a lot about how the lad has integrated. Engels himself seems a different player now compared to even a month ago. There's a sharper edge to his game, but also a calmer confidence in the way he receives the ball, the way he scans, the way he commits to tackles without hesitating. That goal against Hibs didn't just lift the team, it looked like it lifted him personally. Whatever doubts were lingering about the price tag, about adapting to Scottish football, about fitting into the squad, they seem to have faded. And you can almost sense the fans beginning to warm to him properly, shifting from skepticism to genuine hope that he might turn into something special here. And then you've got Luke McCowan's wee stories, the kind that give supporters a peek into how things actually feel behind the scenes. His bit about O'Neill asking if they'd won a trophy during the lap around the pitch, it's brilliant. That dry, straight to the point humor is pure vintage O'Neill, and the players clearly appreciate it. There's something refreshing about a manager who just says what he thinks without dressing it up or worrying about how it'll play on social media. The lads grew up in a football world full of analytics, data meetings, structured communication, and here comes O'Neill with a completely different flavor, and somehow it still works. And that's maybe the most fascinating part of all this. This wasn't supposed to be a long chapter. This was supposed to be a stopgap, a temporary hand on the wheel, a familiar face to stabilize things until the club landed its next permanent leader. But instead, we've ended up with a genuine moment, a wee burst of renewed spirit, a sense of unity that felt like it had slipped away during the rough patches. O'Neill didn't come in trying to reinvent the wheel. He simply reminded people, players and fans alike, of what the wheel was supposed to look like, and the fact that a group of modern players, lads brought up in a totally different era of football, responded so strongly to someone with an old-school approach. That alone tells you how special this bloke is. And tomorrow, all of that swirls together into one night. A cold, midweek fixture under the lights at Celtic Park, the kind where the breath hangs in the air and every shout echoes just a wee bit louder than normal. Maybe it won't be a sellout. Maybe it won't have the chaos of a derby or the nerves of a title decider, but it'll have its own kind of magic. The supporters know what's at stake emotionally. They know this is the last time they'll see O'Neill in the dugout, at least for now. And there's a natural urge to show up, to clap, to cheer, to say thank you in the only language football understands, presence. And if Celtic score early, if the place starts bouncing, if the songs rise up the way they only do on nights like these, it'll turn into a wee pocket of memory that folk will talk about years from now. Mind that Dundee game when O'Neill bowed out. That was some night. It's those kinds of moments that build the fabric of a club's story, not just trophies and finals, but the unexpected evenings where emotion meets performance and something quietly beautiful happens. We learn whatever comes next, whoever the new manager is, whatever style he brings, whatever changes he makes, tomorrow stands on its own. It's a transition wrapped in a tribute, a match that matters both in the table and in the heart. And for a club like Celtic, maybe that combination is exactly what was needed at this point in the season. One last push with O'Neill at the helm, one last night where everything feels familiar before the next chapter begins, and you can bet the players feel that too, even if they're all trying to play it cool in front of the cameras. Footballers are trained to say the usual things. We're focused, just another match. 3 points is all that matters. But anyone with a bit of sense can see the extra spark in their eyes this week. There's a pride there, a wee bit of responsibility, almost as if they're carrying the weight of giving O'Neill the right kind of farewell. Not a sentimental one, but a proper Celtic one. High tempo, hard graft, and a result at the end of it. They'll never admit it outright, but you know fine well they're buzzing for the chance to deliver that. And for the supporters, tomorrow feels like a crossroads in the best possible way. No one's pretending the season has been smooth, far from it, but there's a sudden feeling that things are settling, that the chaos is quietening, that the path ahead is starting to look clearer. It's like the club has taken a deep breath after weeks of tension. There's excitement about the new manager coming in, but there's also comfort in how the team have responded lately, as if they've remembered what it means to wear the shirt. That connection between fans and players had been stretched thin earlier in the season, but right now it feels like it's mending itself naturally, one performance at a time. And when the final whistle blows tomorrow, whatever the scoreline, there's bound to be a moment, you can picture it already, where O'Neill steps onto the pitch, gives that humble wee wave of his, maybe smiles that understated smile, and the crowd rises to their feet. It won't be dramatic. It won't be over the top. It'll just be real. The kind of moment that reminds everyone why football isn't just a sport here. It's part of the culture, part of the heartbeat of the community. And for a man like O'Neill, whose connection with the club runs deeper than any contract ever could, there's no better send-off than that. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. The streets of Glasgow are buzzing with whispers that could shake the very foundations of European football. Rumours are flying fast that Celtic, the pride of the hoops, are about to pull off what could be the most jaw-dropping move in the club's illustrious history. You heard it right. Che Adams, the striker whose name has been sung in stadiums across the UK, is reportedly on the brink of joining Celtic, an audacious claim that's got pundits, fans, and rival supporters in a frenzy. It's not just the size of the deal that's sparking talk, it's the sheer audacity of it. Celtic, already a dominant force in Scotland, are said to be poised to unleash a signing that could redefine the club's ambitions on the European stage. Sources close to the squad hint that the Hoops board have been working tirelessly behind the scenes, negotiating contracts and wage structures that would make most clubs blanch. If true, Che Adams would merely be another name in the Celtic ranks. He'd be the linchpin of a team, hungry for glory, a marquee arrival to send shockwaves through the continent. Fans are already letting their imaginations run riot. Social media channels are awash with speculation, memes, and countdowns as supporters debate how this signing could transform the Celtic attack. Some claim that Adams' pace and predatory instincts could finally give the Hoops the cutting edge they've lacked in high-stakes European fixtures, while others whisper about a tactical revolution in the making under the current management. Even rival clubs in England are said to be keeping a wary eye on proceedings, worried that Celtic might suddenly be a formidable contender in transfer markets they once considered beyond their reach. Yet, despite the excitement, the air is thick with mystery. Neither club nor player have confirmed a thing, and insiders caution that deals of this magnitude are fraught with complications. Still, the buzz alone has reignited debates in pubs, fan forums, and sports shows across Scotland. Could Celtic really be on the verge of snatching the biggest signing in their history? The mere thought has turned speculation into near hysteria. And one thing is clear, wherever Che Adams ends up, the Hoops have certainly made Europe sit up and take notice. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.